Okay, so today's masterclass is on basically how you can go from being burnt out and stuck to living an extraordinary life. And I will tell you guys that are here, normally I know I have a presentation. I don't have one today. I admit I did not have time to put one together. So we're just going to talk. And then at the end, we can answer questions and have a discussion. So the first thing I want to talk about is there are two main reasons I believe that we as women end up feeling burnt out or stuck. And neither one of those reasons has anything to do with us, right? Like there's nothing inherently wrong with us and we don't need to be fixed. We're not doing anything wrong, but you could be doing both of these. I believe we're either doing shit we don't want to do, right? In order to be a good person and make other people feel good. And the other reason you feel burnt out or stuck is because of the self-doubt and the fear and all of that chatter that goes on in your head. Okay, so let's start with doing shit you don't want to do. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest issues for women, especially in our society, right? And I relate that to people pleasing as a way to be a good person, because we've been taught as women that in order to be a good person, you put everybody else's needs ahead of your own. And that if you put your own needs somewhere on that list that isn't way far down, you're being selfish. And so I looked up, just to start the conversation, some definitions on people pleasing. And this one from the scienceofpeople.com really resonated with me. So it says, a people pleaser is someone who tries hard to make others happy. They will often go out of their way to please someone, even if it means taking their own valuable time or resources away from themselves. People pleasers often act out of insecurity and a lack of self-esteem. So I don't want to get too deep into how, whether we're suffering from a lack of self-esteem or insecurity, but I will say that I think that regardless of how you feel in those areas, this is still a common issue for women, like I said, because of our strong socialization. And when I speak to my clients and just women in my life about it, the big reason for not doing something they want to do for themselves or doing something they don't want to do for someone else is because they feel selfish, right, for doing something for themselves, or they feel guilty for not doing something for somebody else. And so the second reason, so outside of socialization, which we've already kind of talked about, and I think we can all agree on, right, that this is how we've been socialized. The other reason is this primitive brain, which I know that the people here right now are aware of what the primitive brain is and have heard me talk about it. If you haven't, if you're watching the replay, it's simply just the biological need for our brain to keep us safe. And so it will do things like send you messages that you are a bad person if it thinks you are going to put yourself in harm's way. And what I mean by that is, back in the day when we lived in tribes or clans as a way to survive, if you did not please your clan, right, if you were not somebody that they liked, if you were not seen as valuable, you'd be rejected, and that meant potential death. And the brain still sees rejection as death. So that's why people pleasing is really just like a survival mechanism from the point of view of your primitive brain. And so when you're not people pleasing, it's really going to think you might be in harm's way. So I want you really to start paying attention, when you are doing things, do you really want to, right? Or is there this primitive brain stepping in to say, you should do this. This is good for you. And there's a difference. You'll know because there will be a heaviness that comes along with the should, right? There will not be this feeling that you are living in alignment with your values and who you want to be. And you will know because you'll say things like, if I don't go, I'll feel bad. Or if I don't do this thing, she might not like me, or she might get angry at me. Okay. And then you are going to recognize that that is just the primitive brain stepping in, What do you really want? What are your reasons for not doing the thing? And do you like them, right? Are you proud of those reasons? So one reason I might not be proud of showing up to, say, an event is because I don't know anybody, and that makes me nervous, right? Like I don't know anybody. And so I'm just, even though I said I was going to go, I'm not going to go. That might not be a reason that I really feel good about, right? I'm trying to escape something. I'm trying to escape like feeling out of place, or maybe like I don't belong. That's actually an opportunity for you to grow. That would actually, for me, be a reason why you should go, is so that you can stretch yourself and put yourself in an uncomfortable situation that you'll learn from. But if you've signed up for an event and you've come down with the flu and you feel really ill, you can probably like your reasons for not going. Or if something happens in your family where you need to take care of your child, or maybe even where there's like something happens at work and it's like, we really need to all come together and get this done. All of these things can be reasons where you might feel good about it, right? Because it aligns with your values, right? It aligns with your values of taking care of yourself. So if you're sick, you're going to stay home. It aligns with your values of like, my son or my daughter is my priority and they're sick or they need something. I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to go to the event. Just make sure you're not going to use someone else as an excuse to get out of it. So if you're a two-parent family, for example, and the husband is perfectly capable of taking care of sick child, you might want to rethink, do you really like your reason for skipping out on the event? Or is there an underlying reason that you're going to use this scenario to get out of? But if you always make your decision from a place of truth for yourself and alignment to your values, the guilt will just dissipate. There won't be any, right? It is when we are making excuses, it's when we're lying to ourselves or lying to others as a way to avoid maybe that socialized concept that we have in our head that we might be a bad person if we don't do the thing. Then that's the time where I want you to really recognize that this might not be the right time to people please, right? This may not be the right time to like say yes to something that you don't want to do. So acknowledge that people pleasing is totally normal. That's the first step from both a social and biological point of view, right? Society has taught us that it's the right thing to do, and biologically your brain sees it as keeping you safe. So it's not unique to you, right? You don't need to give yourself a hard time for it or say things like, oh, I'm just a person that can't say no. You know, I have a really hard time with it. Everybody does. Yet as soon as you make it unique to you, you make it something that is special and that other people can't relate to. And so it makes it harder for you to see a way out of it. So normalize it, realize it's just a human thing. There's nothing unique about you or broken that needs to be fixed. The second step is practice recognize when your primitive brain is talking, right? When it's talking out of fear, trying to keep you safe, and when it's your authentic self, right? When you truly don't want to do something, it doesn't align with your values and how you want to spend your time. A little trick to doing this, again, is to notice when you're making decisions out of fear, right? To just notice that I'm not going to the event because I don't know anybody, or because it's going to put me out of my comfort zone, or I'm not going to, I don't know, go and give that speech on stage because it makes me really nervous. I don't want to expose myself to all those people. Those are actually moments to step into. Those are moments for you to grow as a person and to move past that fear. Oh, and this is good. So this is why I have notes. Fear of letting someone down or causing a confrontation or making them upset is also not a reason I would suggest you don't do things. And the reason why is, and if you've been with me for a while or following me, you'll know this, so it'll be repetitive, but those that don't, the reason why you don't want to not do something because you're afraid you'll let someone down or you'll hurt their feelings, you'll make them feel bad, is because your actions and your words never make another human feel an emotion. We don't transmit emotions, okay? Our thoughts about what people say and do right? Our interpretation of their words and their actions is what makes us feel something. And so when you say no to someone, when you say no to people pleasing, it is not you saying no that makes that person feel angry. It is their interpretation of why you said no, and you don't control that. That is controlled by their own socialization, by their own primitive brain, by so many different things that make them who they are, that you are completely out of control. So as much as you try to do things to make someone happy and to control their emotions, it usually doesn't work. It like 98.5% of the time doesn't work. The other 1.5%, you got lucky in changing how they think, right? Or you were communicating with a person who's been socialized in a way whose thoughts don't make things mean something negative. Second, because people pleasing tends to go along with this idea that we're a good person and putting other people ahead of ourselves makes us good, it results in us feeling like doing things that we don't want to do and then feeling anger and resentment. And so it works the opposite way we want it to. We think we're doing things to improve a relationship, to make people happy, to have goodwill between us. And what ends up happening over the long run is that we create a deep amount of resentment in that relationship, and it works against us. Because if you're feeling resentment, you will show up differently in that relationship than if you're just feeling love and like you are staying true to yourself. So when we make the decision to say no to something that isn't for us, right, we are actually, it's actually the greatest act of love, right, and authenticity for ourselves and in service of that relationship with that other person. There is no guilt because one, you know, you don't control their feelings, right? Your actions and your words don't control how they feel. And you are not being selfish. You're honoring yourself, right? You're honoring yourself and who you are in the relationship. When you're people pleasing, you're actually lying to yourself and you're lying to the other person. It's building resentment. You're not living the way you really want to. And so it just does the complete opposite. So before I move on, and I'm just watching the time here, I just want to say, what if you reframed people pleasing as exactly that? As not honoring yourself and the people you are in relationship with? How would it change how you show up, right? How would it change the things you say yes and no to if you just knew that staying true to what you really want is honoring yourself and the people that you're in relationship with? And the second reason, and I'm going to try to go fast here, but second reason for feeling burnt out and stuck is this over attention, if you will, to self-doubt and fear, right? And so this looks like being unsure if you're capable, not knowing if you really believe something's possible, not thinking you have enough skill or experience, fear of failing or being embarrassed or rejected. They are self-doubt and fear, the emotions that keep us stuck, right? They're dream killers. So no one has ever gone after a passion or achieved a big goal thinking things like, I'll never be able to do this, right? Or I don't know if I can. And when we think things like this, they will feel very true, right? When you go to do something new that you've never done before, you'll be like, yeah, I've never done this. I don't know if I can. And you'll really hang on to that, right? It will feel so true. But the truth is that there are many things that have been done that were never done before. And so if that person, right, the person who invented flying, for example, if they were just like, oh, no one's ever flown, so I don't think we can do that, we wouldn't have airplanes. So you are capable of doing things that you've never done before. And that data, that fact is not based on the past. It's actually based on future thinking and possibility belief, right? Thinking something is possible, even just getting curious about it and being like, I wonder if I could do that. Right? That thought will start to generate feelings that will move you forward much faster and that will at least be moving you towards a goal rather than keeping you stuck. Master coach Brooke Castillo says that your brain does not produce self-confidence naturally. It produces fear, worry, and doubt. So we have to actively work against our own brains. And this is why it's simple, but it's not easy, right? It can be hard work. But first, you have to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable feeling things like fear and disappointment. And what I mean by that is when I say you get comfortable, I mean you tell yourself you can survive it, right? A feeling is simply a vibration in your body. That is it. So disappointment might feel like your stomach like drops a bit, right? And maybe your chest gets a little bit tight. When we feel embarrassed, like we might heat up and our hearts might race a little bit. But that is all you are experiencing. You are not going to die like your brain is telling you that you might. So get used to and very comfortable feeling those emotions. Don't try to avoid them by not putting yourself in difficult situations. Don't try to resist them, like get those feelings to go away. They're not going anywhere, ever. Not even when you get to wherever it is you want to go. There will be a new thing your brain will make an issue about. We cannot get rid of them. We can only learn to live with them and keep going anyways. And so overcome, right? This doesn't mean that, like, yeah, so my notes are saying this doesn't mean you're no longer afraid, right? It just means you're capable of feeling difficult things and still moving forward. And the prospect of feeling something difficult like embarrassment does not keep you from doing the thing. So I'll leave you again with a question like I did with the people pleasing. And that is, what if you accepted that fear and self-doubt are just natural things the brain focuses on to protect you? And what if you could feel those things and still move forward with pursuing your passions and purpose? What would life look like then? And finally, I want to encourage you to keep a data bank of things that you've done that you didn't know you could do, small and big, because the brain loves proof. So provide it, right? It's going to go looking for it anyways, and it will find the proof that you can't do it. So I want you to start to feed it proof that you can, right? Keep that data bank and keep adding to it all the time. So just in closing, if you're feeling burnt out or you're feeling stuck, there's nothing wrong with you. It's totally, totally normal, right? You don't need fixing. You just need awareness of how your brain is impacting your decisions, and then choose to decide from a place of intention, right? That aligns with who you are and who you want to be and the values that you have. Make decisions you feel good about, not ones from a place of fear, and get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, because it's not going to kill you. It just feels like it will. Okay, so that's it today. I'm going to end the recording and shoot this replay out and start Q&A with those of you that are in the room.